A U.S. warship has docked in the South China Sea as part of its regular deployment to show America's commitment to the Asia-Pacific. It's part of increased military presence in the disputed region, with China, the UK, France, and Australia also active there. This can contribute to maritime peace and security, but experts warn there's a risk of miscalculation, especially when there's no unified code of conduct. CNA's Leong with more from the USS Nimitz.
Here we go, here we go, here we go. Words of our pilot as we landed to prepare for this.
I'm seeing this from an outside point of view. Of course, this was the way our aircraft landed on this warship. We were not on one of these fighter jets. Our aircraft was a different type of aircraft, but the landing method was similar. Of course, while we were landing, the pilots gave us a heads up. Here we go, here we go, here we go. But nothing could prepare me for the moment because, as you could have seen earlier, the entire aircraft came to a complete standstill in just a couple of seconds, and my face was like this. And then my cameraman, who was sitting right beside me, nudged me and went, because it was quite the experience. It was like being on a roller coaster ride, but for 2 seconds.
Runways on these aircraft carriers are short, so planes need to be stopped like this as they land. Any of these 4 wires can bring landing aircraft to an immediate halt. This is the USS Nimitz, one of the largest warships in the world. It's in the South China Sea as the US works to boost its military presence in the Asia-Pacific. President Joe Biden has sent billions in military aid to Ukraine to help it beat back Russian forces, part of a NATO-wide effort. But its administration isn't pulling back in this part of the world.
They absolutely cannot take their eyes off the Asia-Pacific region for a very simple reason, because this part of the world is the fastest militarizing region in the world. Despite of what's going on in Ukraine, countries in this part of the world are modernizing their militaries, expanding their military budgets at the fastest pace ever seen.
The presence of US warships plays a key role in countering China, a nation White House officials say poses the most comprehensive and serious challenges to the US. Last month, China's Leong aircraft carrier was reported to have sailed close to the American territory of Guam. In recent years, Beijing authorities have also started sending warships to the South China Sea after building island bases in the disputed waters. They consider much of this area their own, despite competing claims from nations including the Philippines and Vietnam.
The Chinese are deploying their military assets into the region now because they can. They are now able to secure whatever claims they make in the South China Sea and back it up with actual military assets instead of just rhetoric. What we've noticed is that the moment a US warship appears, these Chinese ships will also tend to disappear, which shows that the US military presence indeed has some sort of a deterrent effect on China's behavior in the region.
The US defense establishment says China is seeking to undermine US alliances and security partnerships in what it calls the Indo-Pacific, and it's been moving to rally allies to the region. Other navies have also started sailing to the South China Sea in the last 5 years, including those belonging to France, the UK and Australia.
Each of these countries, they deploy their latest warships to this part of the world because they feel that they have a stake in the security of the region, given the volume of trade that passes through the South China Sea.
While the presence of warships can project stability and security, there's always a risk of miscalculations, especially when there's no unified code of conduct.
For example, when a warship is deployed into what you consider as your maritime territory and they do not respond to your request to leave, what should you be doing? You know, we have seen countries in this part of the world deploy a variety of tactics, such as deploying water cannons, sending out warning shots, and then sending out messages via all the means of communication available on warship. So what I'm worried is that what if these warning shots are misinterpreted as a hostile shot, for example, and the other party starts to reciprocate with another volley of live fire. But an incident like that can easily spiral into a naval skirmish, which will have bigger ramifications down the road, especially in this part of the world.
Observers say moving forward, the Asia-Pacific region will see even more visiting warships from around the world, with nations trying to prove they can bring value. Commanders of the 5,000-strong crew on board the nuclear-powered USS Nimitz say their job is clear: maintaining peace and stability and minimizing potential conflict at sea, along with carrying out humanitarian missions during deployments that can be as long as 8 months. Chinese leaders may see it differently. It's clear as we jet off for the mainland that this region will remain in sharp focus as superpowers and smaller players race to keep pace and the geopolitical situation becomes ever more complex. Leong, CNA in the South China Sea.